Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Euroman Movie Report, the show where I talk about a movie I have recently watched at my local movie theatre. This week I'm going to talk about Skyscraper. Skyscraper is directed by the guy who made, among other films, Dodgeball, A True Underdog Story. And it stars, among several others, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Neve Campbell, and Danish actor Roland Møller. And it's basically that The Rock, he plays this former FBI counter-terrorist hostage rescue special forces guy who in the beginning of the film, during a botched raid, gets his leg blown off and he is put back together again by Neve Campbell of the Scream movies. She is a surgeon. 10 years later, he is a security consultant and he is sent to Hong Kong to assess this very impressive building built in downtown Hong Kong, where he's supposed to approve this building so it can open. And afterwards, everything of course goes wrong because Skyscraper is in all its glory a somewhat remake of the first Die Hard flick. Of course, we have several parts of the Die Hard story, but in a rough cut, it's still very reminiscent of Die Hard. And the special effects, they are okay. The acting by The Rock, it's fairly good, and so are the other actors. But there is one major issue with Skyscraper, and it's an issue plaguing several other recent Hollywood films, is that it's basically a soft propaganda piece for China and the Chinese government. Because in recent years we have had all these movies mainly produced by Legendary Pictures, who are and Legendary Pictures, of course, being owned by Chinese, is that these movies, they show, oh, China is so fantastic, oh, the Chinese government is so resilient, and so on and so on. And it's becoming very, very tiresome having to watch all these movies glorifying everything about China. To me, especially when we have a government in China who, it isn't a very nice regime in many ways. It treats many of its dissidents very horribly, and human rights in China aren't little to no existing. So it's in some ways it's I know I'm not supposed to make this video political, but again and again and again we have these movies trying to say, oh, China is so fantastic, China is so great, oh, the Chinese government, they are so awesome, and it becomes tiresome because it is simply propaganda disguised as a Hollywood movie, and that's what it is. And I'm not saying one should boycott these movies, but I'm saying that the movie-going audience should be a lot more critical of these kind of movies. Because, for instance, there's a scene where Neve Campbell talks to the Hong Kong police, and then the Hong Kong police uses the regime approved and in real life censored search engine Baidu, an engine which the Chinese only have access to, and it's heavily censored because you can't do an internet search for Tiananmen Square, and if you do, and you are inside China, your search will be automatically logged. So that's really showing that search engine in that movie really hammered home that this movie is supposed to portray the regime and how everything goes in China in a very positive light. And that's, it turned me off on the movie because, as I said, the more and more the heavy propaganda element, it's take something away from the experience of watching what would in previous years have been just a regular Hollywood blockbuster action flick. And that's a shame, and I don't know if it's a fad, or it could be a fad if people around the world said, "Oh, with all respect to how to China and the Chinese, we feel no need to watch a movie glorifying everything about China." So yeah, to sum it up, action movie wise, it's a fairly mediocre Die Hard ripoff. So and acting wise, The Rock does what he does, and Neve Campbell, yeah, what is to say about that? Okay. And Roland Møller, the Danish actor who became internationally famous for a Danish movie made a couple of years ago called Land of Mine. Yeah, you can easily, I assume he's supposed to be, he's supposed to be Scandinavian in the movie, but his name sounds like more like something out of South Africa, so it was a bit confusing in my opinion. So yeah, if I'm gonna rate it, what should we say? Yeah, 2 out of 5 stars. That's it, Euroman of Euroman's Movie Report. Thanks for watching, and I promise that my next movie talk / movie review isn't gonna be political, but I felt the need to talk politics in this movie here. But have a pleasant weekend, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.